Some of you might know that I'm doing a no buy year for the first time this year, and I thought it would be fun to go over all of my expenses at the end of every month and kind of share with you how I'm doing and to see where I failed and where I've succeeded with all of the restrictions that I placed on myself at the beginning of the year. I really thought that it was going to be a lot more difficult than it actually is so far, but maybe it's only because I've been at home and I haven't wanted to go anywhere or do anything. So we'll see how, as the year progresses, how I feel about my spending and whether or not it increases. But so far I think I've been doing a really good job. I don't think I've spent that much money, but I wanted to go over all of my expenses and my spending in Mint, as I discussed in my previous video about my no buy year. So let's go ahead and take a look at the breakdown of my January expenses. You can see right away that about 2/3 of my money goes directly into savings. This includes any money that I put into my sinking funds as well as my Roth IRA and any money that I set aside for vacations or for buying a car in the future. Looking back at the graph, you can see that after paying my mortgage, utilities, and car loan, we have 2 categories left, which are food and other. Let's take a deeper look at the food category to see how my money was distributed across groceries, restaurants, and fast food places. So going back into Mint, we can see how my food and dining category is divided across groceries, restaurants, fast food, and coffee shops. This is a really simple thing that Mint does for you automatically, and I highly encourage you to sign up for Mint. It's free to use and really helpful for maintaining a budget and making sure you account for any money that you're spending. We can see that over 50% of my money in my food category went directly to groceries, about 1/4 went to restaurants, and 1/4 to fast food and coffee shops. If you recall from my no buy year video, or even the video where Kyle criticized my spending habits, you'll remember that spending money on fast food is a vice. I love food, whether it's restaurants, fast food, or even through the grocery store. When I'm hungry, I will pick and buy almost everything because I love to eat. Eating is one of my favorite pastimes, but this year I wanted to make a conscious effort to spend less money on fast food and restaurants and focus more on cooking at home because it is not only healthier, but it is cheaper. I thought it would be interesting to compare my spending in my food category from January of this year to January of last year to kind of compare and contrast where my money was going. Fortunately, Mint does this for you as well. You can just go to the food and dining spending category, and there's a drop-down window where you can select compare to last year, and it'll pull up the graphs for that subcategory for you to compare and contrast. Looking at my graph, you can see that this year I have spent considerably less on fast food than the previous year. I went from spending about $225 in fast food last year to just over $60 this year. This is a big decrease for me because I remember last year I was driving into work every day, and because I work the night shift, I would go in around lunchtime and pick up fast food on my way in to eat before I started my shift. And then usually around dinner time, I would also go out and buy more fast food instead of making my own meals. This year, I'm actually doing a lot of working from home, so I'm able to make meals while I'm here in my own house. Looking back at the graph, you can see that I was spending more money on groceries, which is obvious since I was spending less money on fast food. I would have to spend more money on groceries so that I was still eating. Coffee shops was the last subcategory that had a big difference, and that's because, as you might know, Kyle bought me an amazing coffee maker, which I'll link to in the description. So I'm making coffee at home, which is cheaper and honestly just easier for me because I'm not driving 20 minutes to go get a cup of coffee. The last category we have from my spending chart is other, and this is basically anything that did not fall under savings, home, auto, or food, which is basically everything else under the sun. But to look more clearly into it, I'm actually going to show you all of the items that I bought and kind of tell you whether or not I thought they were worth it in the end. So to start off, the first thing I bought in January was this Bite toothpaste, which is actually really cool. It was my first, it was my first eco-friendly swap of the year. And instead of buying tube toothpaste, I have these small tablets that you just put in your mouth, you bite down on, and then you get a wet toothbrush and you just brush your teeth like normal. The second thing I bought was this Aladdin puzzle by Thomas Kincaid from Target. It was so hard for me to go through Target and only allow myself to buy 2 things with purpose. There was no browsing allowed, there was no just kind of meandering through the store to see what they had, because I knew that if I did that, I would end up buying way more things that I didn't need. So I was lucky enough to find the exact puzzle that I wanted, and I have completed it since I bought it, and I actually took it all apart and put it back in the box, which is something I've never done. Usually when I buy puzzles, I will put them all together and then I'll frame them. Yeah, I'm one of those weird people that does that, but with this one, because it's only 750 pieces, I can do it probably in 1 or 2 nights of just puzzling and watching TV. So that's what I did. I put it all in the box, and now I have a puzzle to do while we are still in quarantine this year. So as I mentioned, I bought 2 things at Target, and the second thing I bought was this face mask, which I intentionally bought. I didn't just wander through the cosmetics department and stumble upon it, but I haven't used it yet because when I got home, I found that I had a couple of other face masks under the sink, which was kind of frustrating because I wanted to make sure I used up everything like cosmetics wise before I bought new ones, but now I have this one for this month, so hopefully I won't have to go out and buy another one. The fourth thing I bought is small and only costs a couple of dollars, but it's still on the list because it's still an expense. I still spent money to get it, and it is this Chinese red Tombow marker that I bought for a specific journal spread that I did in my bullet journal. It required a true red color, and the only red I had was actually more like a magenta, so I decided to go out and intentionally buy one red marker, even though it might be a little more expensive than buying a full set. I'm trying to get away from buying sets like that include things that I don't necessarily need, because it creates more waste and more clutter in my house if I'm bringing things in that I don't intend to have. The fifth and final thing that I bought was actually $1 at Goodwill, and it is this beautiful red glass candle holder, and it actually still has the melted candle from whoever donated it, but I intend to melt down the wax that's inside and create a new candle for myself, and hopefully I'll be making a video showing you how to reuse leftover candle wax from candles to make new candles, or if you're interested in making your own soy wax candles yourself. So that's all of the spending I did for the month of January, and I honestly think that I'm off to a good start. I know I can do better in the food category, but we'll see how the year progresses. Overall, I'm really excited to have enough money saved up for a fancy trip to Europe once we have COVID figured out. It's something that I've always wanted to do. I haven't left this continent in my entire 30 years of life, and it's something that I'm really looking forward to, and I'm happy to be able to do in the near future. If you want to know my favorite purchases of last year, then check out this video over here. Or if you're interested in starting your own no-buy month or no-buy year, then watch this video instead. Until next time, bye!